Guys, this is going to be a tough video to make because I am cooked. So as we can see here on Friday, I fucked up, honestly. This comes down to me personally, my psychology, basically just giving in to FOMO, giving into greed, giving into impatience, and taking trades solely based off of like impulses and not really thinking about my rules, my discipline, my risk management. And look where it got me. I'm now down $300 for the week. $344 negative on the week. My accounts in total still have $600. So it's like I still have a little wiggle room and I still have obviously some profits, but I really need to lock in because now I cooked my win rate. I cooked my average win loss. I cooked my profit factor. I cooked, my entire accounts. And the part that makes it the worst is just the fact that if I had followed my rules, I would have made money. I would have made like $700 if I had just followed my rules. But I was hesitant on the charts, so I ended up missing my model. And then I tried to catch it too late, so I just impulsively clicked sell. I got manipulated out because I had a really bad entry because I obviously had, entered into my position pretty late. I got manipulated out and I tried to enter again, in which I also got manipulated out. So I'll show you guys on the charts, but it was a super bad day, honestly, psychology wise, and I just need to do better when it comes to following my rules. I took a lot of time after the trading on Friday morning to really just think about my actions, think about my rules, think about the reason why I'm doing this, think about the process and the journey rather than the destination. Because I feel like lately I've been too focused on the monetary aspect of trading and the monetary aspect of keeping up with my accounts, keeping up with my P&L. That's profit and losses, by the way. Keeping up with, my max loss limit, keeping up with my trade ratio and percentages and my stats and all that stuff. And that stuff doesn't really matter. What really matters is following your model, following your strategy, sticking to your rules, and focusing on being a good trader rather than trying to make money, rather than trying to get funded. With focusing on being a good trader, being funded will come. The money will come. When I focus on consistency, the profits will follow. You're never going to win like that, and you're never going to become profitable like that. So, like I said, after Friday morning, I just took a lot of time to think, and especially over the weekend, I took a while to make this recap because I really just wanted to take some time away from the charts and just lock myself back into my rules, my strategy, and the discipline aspect of trading. So, yeah, account, again, down $600 now, $300 on each account, and I'll show you guys exactly why. So on the daily time frame, at least, there's not much that I can see. We do have a bit of a volume imbalance from the new day opening gap, which pretty much almost entirely got mitigated. I would say that's probably like just around to the OTE of that range, or at least the CE. So that's pretty much mitigated. So on the daily time frame, I don't have much of a bias because we're trading right around this area. We're not currently in any PD arrays, so I'm not really sure what my bias would be on the daily time frame. This is the 4-hour time frame though, and this red line marks exactly where we were in price action at market open. So again, that 540 range, and we were currently trading inside of this imbalance. So I'm honestly expecting price to continue downwards because we're currently respecting this imbalance. We hadn't closed outside of it, but we did wick above it. So that was a bit concerning in terms of whether or not this PD array was going to get respected. We also had inversed this gap previously. So I'm thinking we're in a retracement of this fair value gap, and we're probably going to come back down. So I kind of had a bearish bias going into today. And once market opened, we completely shot up and we took out the previous day high. The previous day high and this bearish gap up here should have become the draw on liquidity for me, but I realized that much too late. This is the 15-minute time frame though. So as we can see here, Asia session, we had a pretty decent range. London session, we just went straight up from that range that Asia session created. We had our manipulation leg downwards right before market open. And at market open, we completely dumped for a huge distribution to the upside. And again, all of this was distribution. I should have looked at this as our manipulation. And I should have looked at this as our accumulation period. But I wasn't looking in terms of the PO3. I was honestly just looking at price and expecting a bearish trend because of the reasons that I listed on the 4-hour time frame. So once we came back up out of this manipulation leg on the 1-minute time frame, I'll remove all these drawings real quick. On the 1-minute time frame, we're coming up and we displaced above all of this buy side liquidity. Once we displaced above this liquidity with the huge fair value gap, I entered into longs. Oops, wrong tool. I entered into longs on my demo account to practice taking continuation model trades. And I ended up hitting a full TP again on my demo account. So I made like probably $700 on my demo account, but not my top step accounts, because I don't trade continuation models on my top step. I mostly just trade reversals. So I was already like, damn, I missed a trade. Even though it's against my rules and against the strategy that I trade on my top step accounts, I was like, damn, I could have took that continuation trade. Price continued to dump upwards for, a couple of 100 points. And at that point, I'm like, damn, I just missed out on some good money. I could have been done for the day in literally a few minutes with basically zero drawdown. We come up here, and this entire time, I'm not looking at any standard deviation ranges. I'm not looking at anything, technical. I'm just waiting for price to start reversing so that I can honestly just hop into a trade. Once we get to this level, we have this first retracement leg, but it didn't do much. It just continued back upwards for a higher high. Once we came to over here, though, I was a bit hesitant because I kind of saw our model. I kind of saw a unicorn forming. We have our fair value gap here. So I was a bit confused on where the breaker block would be. My friend ended up taking this trade, though. He said that this would technically be a breaker block in his eyes. I didn't really see a breaker block, though, so I was really hesitant on taking this trade. If you look over here, we also never displaced. Let me make this horizontal. We never displaced. We never closed below this to create a change in the state of delivery. We wicked below it, which is usually a sign of manipulation. So I'm expecting, similar to this retracement leg, similar to this one, that we're just going to come back, retrace a little, and continue higher. And especially once we closed inside this fair value gap, I was like, all right, we're probably not going to respect this. We're probably going to inverse this fair value gap, and we're probably just going to continue higher. We started accumulating inside of this fair value gap, and I had so many opportunities to hop in shorts up here and get a really good entry. Like a really, really good entry where I would only risk like maybe 13 points and be able to target some of this sell side engineered liquidity, like maybe one of these points or something like that. But I didn't end up doing it because I was hesitating. I didn't think that this fair value gap was going to get respected, and we started dumping downwards. Once we dumped downwards and we closed over here to make this change in the state of delivery, I hopped in shorts. We came down a little, and I immediately moved my stops to break even because I was hopping into this trade late. I got wicked out at break even, stopped out. Then I saw price continue to go down, and I impulsively clicked sell, probably I think at the end of this candle, and I had like a 10-point stop or something. Actually, I don't even know what I did. I had a pretty tight stop though, and I got wicked out. I also I think I tried to go long right over here because I thought that the retracement leg was over and that we're going to come back up. So I tried to go long right over here on the close of these candles, and I got stopped out. So as you can see, if I had just done what I should have done, which is following my model. Even if I entered right here on the top of the fair value gap and I had like a 25-point stop or whatever, I would still be able to catch my model pretty much. I would still be able to target this imbalance, maybe go for a 1 to 1.5, or even make that a 1 to 2, and I would still be fine. I'd have a little bit of drawdown, and I would have been fine. If I had entered up here where I was being really hesitant, I would have had an even better ratio, even if I targeted this imbalance. But I was hesitant, I was fearful, I was attached to the money that I could potentially lose, and that led to my downfall. Because from there I had FOMO, I had fear of missing out. Because we were already dumping towards the downside, I tried to hop in, I got manipulated out. I tried to catch the reversal off of this retracement. When it was finished, I got stopped out. Impulsiveness, greed, fear, all of these things will never help you, especially in a profession like day trading. You will always get manipulated by the market. You will never know when to really trade. You will never know when to, execute. You'll always be fearful of doing things, and then you'll end up doing things out of impulse just because you started missing out on money. You'll start thinking about the money you could have made, or the money you should have made, or the money that you missed out on. And none of those mindsets are good for trading. You never want to be thinking about money you quote unquote should have made, because none of this money is entitled to you. You only earn that money if you are being patient, if you are being consistent, if you're being disciplined, if you are following your rules. And on Friday, I did none of those things. So I ended up losing $600, $300 on each account. So like I said earlier, I took some time off over the weekend and on Friday to really look into things. And coming into this week, I placed a few things in practice. One, stop thinking about the outcome. Stop thinking about the destination. Focus on the process. Fall in love with the process. I was thinking so much about money, how much I could have been making, my profit goal, getting my payout, all that stuff. All that stuff that's ultimately irrelevant. If I was to focus on being a good trader, learning as a trader, evolving as a trader, focusing on my discipline, following my rules, I would have a much better win rate. I would have a lot more money in my accounts. I'd be a lot closer to getting funded. I would be a lot closer to getting my payouts. But I did none of those things. So, as a result of this, I blocked my numbers and stats while I trade. I wrote down my rules on a whiteboard near my face. So literally every time I'm about to enter my trade, I can see my rules. If they don't align with my rules, don't trade. If they align with my rules, I trade no matter what, without being fearful of and obviously that's if I see my model, but without being fearful of losing that money, because that comes with a part of the game. That is a part of trading. That's a part of, making money. You're gonna lose. There's gonna be times where you might have an A+ setup and it just doesn't go your way. That happened on Wednesday for me, in my opinion. I had some really good setups. They did not go my way. And I feel like psychologically that fucked with me a little. And that's probably why I was going into today being so mindful of the money aspect of things, because I had a deficit to make up for in my mind. I had to make up for that $450 that I lost on Wednesday. And that's never okay. I shouldn't look at losses as setbacks or, just really a loss. I have to look at them as lessons. And same thing with my winning trades. I shouldn't look at them as wins or accomplishments. They're lessons. Because I was rewarded for following my rules. I was rewarded for following the model. I was rewarded for being patient. And when I lose trades, I'm dealing with the consequences of not being patient. I'm dealing with the consequences of not following my rules. And I promise you, losing a trade because you didn't follow your rules hurts way more than losing a trade that you followed your rules on. On Wednesday, I lost my trades, but I followed my rules. And I'm okay with that, especially now, after I've had some time to think about it, some time to reflect, and some time to really just lock in with my psychology. I'm 100% okay with that, because losing the way I did on Friday, I felt like the biggest retard. Honestly, I felt like the biggest like idiot on the planet of Earth, because I knew I shouldn't have done it, and I ended up losing money twice off of 3 impulsive trades. That is never okay. But number 2, wins and losses happen. Treat them the same and look at them all as lessons. So I'll say that as well. 3, losing because of your rules is okay. Wait, no, that made no sense. 3, losing a trade that you followed your rules on is better than losing a trade because you broke them 100% of the time. 4, detach myself from the money. Focus on intellect, emotional regulation, and clarity on the charts. Money will follow as a result. And 5, stop being impatient. Setups come and go. My job is to identify my model and trade it. Oh my god, I cannot type. If I see it, execute. If I don't do anything. That simple. So these are going to be things that I follow coming into next week. And again, I'm disappointed in myself. I know you guys are probably disappointed in me as well, if you guys care. But I'm definitely disappointed in myself, and I'm just going to do a lot of a better job when it comes to managing my emotions, when it comes to managing my rules, following them, being disciplined, and just locking in overall on the journey of being a trader. I still have, 100% faith that I'm going to be profitable. Literally over the weekend, my friend took a payout on Top Step. He's going to use that to scale up. He's going to get more accounts. He's going to get more payouts. And him and I trade the same model. It's not the strategy. It's me. It's you versus you on the charts. And right now I'm losing. So I'm going to do a better job of locking in with my mindset and my psychology. Because I need to, honestly. So for the rest of the day, today's Sunday. For the rest of the day, I'm just going to chill out, try to backtest a little, and to continue to focus on the psychology aspect of things in preparation for tomorrow. And I'm going to hit it with a completely different mindset tomorrow. So I'll see you guys in the next one.